Natural Magick by Giambattista Della Porta is now in its second printing by Black Letter Press, and they very kindly sent me a copy for me to give a fair review, and so that's what I will do today. And well, the first thing that I will note is the size of the book. It's so much larger than what I'm used to from Black Letter Press, right? Here is De Occulta Philosophia, the first book of occult philosophy of Agrippa, by the same publisher. And this is kind of the size that I'm used to now, right, by Black Letter Press. And you can see that Natural Magick is significantly larger than this. I'm starting off with the physical aspects of the book. I know that disturbs some people, but yeah, welcome to my channel. Here we are. So it is compared to just an Everyman Mabinogion. Okay, so that's even larger than that. The closest that I've found is my leather-bound edition of the Game of Thrones, which is of a similar size. There we are. So what is Natural Magick? Well, I feel like the title may be misleading in a way for some people, right? When we hear Natural Magick, we think about witches' brews, and don't get me wrong, there is in fact a chapter called The Witch's Brew right at the very, very end as an appendix. But that is not really the core of this book. It reads much more like an almanac. So tips and tricks for the everyday person on how to get more out of their household goods, situations, so on and so forth. So it was written at the turn of the 16th century, right? So a lot of this feels a lot like a scientist or an early scientist making records of experiments that he's been doing, and records of results, and giving you tips on how you can do something similar to make your own life easier just around the house. So let me show you some of the topics. I'll start off by saying that, yeah, this contents page is, in fact, the only really accurate contents page, because they've kept the original contents page, which is kind of wrong between here and about here. All of these are more or less muddled up. It feels like all the page numbers are correct for the starts of chapters, but although there is one page over here is like 370 something, which is missing. All of the titles are there, and this is something that Paul Summers Smith Paul Summers Young, please forgive me, mentions over here that there are some problems with the contents page with the page correspondences. But nevertheless, let me show you what types of material we have here on the causes of wonderful things, which is really the only time he goes into any kind of philosophy. Yeah, and it's a very, very interesting book to read, right? These are all presented as individual books. From my understanding, it was originally published in 4 parts, in 4 volumes, right? Of the generation of animals, so talking about crossbreeding, on the production of new plants, again crossbreeding and grafting, on the of increasing household stuff. So this is about making your cleaning products go further, and how to make cheap versions of the things that are necessary around the house and things like this. Of changing metals. So obviously dabbling in a little alchemy there, but not always succeeding, which is kind of fun to read about. Of counterfeiting gold, of the wonders of the lodestone, of strange cures, of beautifying women, which is basically how to peroxide your hair and how to make various forms of makeup, of distillation, how to make alcohol, of perfuming, of artificial fires, which sounds amazing, but it's really about gunpowder and about how to make various forms of steam and so on and so forth. What else do we have? Tempering steel, cookery, a wonderful recipe here on how to make an egg as large as a man's head, which is very, very, very entertaining. But again, not really magic, just experiments and tips and tricks around the house. You could say maybe cunning law, that kind of thing. Of fishing, fowling, hunting, etc. Of invisible writing. So this is on how to make invisible inks that are revealed when you know what to do and where the ink might be. Of strange glasses, so going into optics and things like this. Of static experiments, of pneumatic experiments. So this is about making wind instruments and things like this. And then this wonderfully titled Of the Chaos. But it's not really on chaos. It's just that the chapter is a miscellany of recipes and experiments that wouldn't really fit anywhere else, and so it's just chaotic. So there we are. It's really, really fascinating to read. Obviously, any kind of book on early Renaissance science is always going to be entertaining and even educational. Paul Summers-Young has done a fantastic job of teasing out titles for each section, because of course these chapters would have been just blocks of text, and what he's done is that he's cut sentences at the point which makes sense as a title for the next bit, and he's centered that little snippet of text, given it a capital letter, italicized it, and made it a title for what comes next. So it becomes much more fluid reading. It makes for much more enjoyable reading, simply, right? There are a few diagrams. There aren't very many. There are a few. This is the one on the lodestone. And each chapter starts with a beautiful illuminated capital letter. I know that there's a technical term for that. I forget it right now, I'm afraid. I see if it's sorry about that. There we go. Yeah, very, very pretty. Very nice. Yeah, so Paul Summers-Young does mention that there are some issues with the original, which was possibly typeset in a hurry. The original translation, that is, because this is a transcription of a translation from the mid-17th century, based on the original Latin, right? He says that he's kept in some of the quirks. He's kept in, so for example, that contents page, which doesn't quite match reality. That's one of the original quirks. He also mentions a couple more quirks. However, I must say that I've seen a few more typos than I would have liked to have seen. It's not on every page, it's nothing anywhere near as bad as that, but enough to mention it here, like a pair of words being repeated, or a word that I don't feel would have even existed at the time. I might be mistaken, but it feels like maybe there are some of these words that were simply scanned and they used an OCR text recognizing mechanism, and the proofreader didn't catch every single mistake. That's what it feels like, and it's just dotted around. As I say, enough to mention here, but nowhere near enough to affect my reading. It certainly didn't affect my ability to enjoy what I was reading. Put it that way. Yeah. There we are. That's more or less what I have to show you today. I do want to show you that cover one more time. It's so pretty. The texture of it is just the gel text. Sorry, the gel text, is that the word that they use, the name, texture of that they've been using for all of their second printings. It's very, very nice, and it looks like so many of the books that my grandmother used to have. So, you know, turn of the century books and early 20th century books. I really, really like the aesthetic that they've gone for here. It's very pretty, very very beautiful, and certainly very curious to read and entertaining. It reads very well. Paul Summers-Young has done a fantastic job of updating the punctuation to make it readable, of updating many of the very some of the language that would have made the reading very difficult, while keeping most of it, at least the parts of it that help it to retain that original feeling of a mid-17th century translation, right? Yeah, there we are. So I hope you enjoyed the review. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so already, and I will see you very soon with another video. See you soon. Bye-bye.